It's now time for the Rebirth Sports full game recap. We go all the way back to December 31st, year 2024, when the Nashville Predators were in Minnesota to face off against the Wild on the second night of back-to-backs. Head coach Andrew Burnett deploys his line combinations and defensemen in the following way. Forsberg, Stamkos, and Marchessault make up your first line. Nyquist, O'Reilly, and Heinestroza. And then it's Jankowski, Novak, Evangelista, LaRue, McCarron, and Sissons, Yossi, and Shen, Shea, and Blankenberg, Luzon, and Barron make up your defensive pairings. And Noonan gets the start in net for the Nashville Predators. Just 3 seconds in, we find Noonan coming with a save on Spurgeon. First shot on goal of the game at the 2:42 mark now at the first period. It's Luzon coming up with a fight versus Foligno. 5 minutes each off to the box. Novak took a huge hit from Foligno right there at the edge of the bench, causing Luzon to react. Each off to the box, 5 minutes each. On the next face-off, it would be LaRue versus Jones, each off to the box, 5 minutes each. Then we return to hockey, and we find ourselves at the 3:13 mark of the first period with Gustafsson coming with a save on the captain, Roman Yossi. 3:42 mark of the first period finds a Noonan coming with a save on Faber, plus the follow-up by Rossi. 5:04 of the first period, and Noonan coming with a save on Chisholm. And then at the 6:16 mark of the first period, Gustafsson coming with a save on Philip Forsberg. 7:19 season Noonan coming with a save on Shore. Then we found our first scoring of the game at 7:54 of the first period. It's Rossi breaking through with his 13th of the season, putting Minnesota up 1-0. Right place, right time, bounce in his favor. One of those type goals goes against the Nashville Predators. Minnesota Wild take a 1-0 lead. 9:28 of the first period. Now Gustafsson comes in with a save on Philip Forsberg. The 10:25 mark of the first period. And Noonan coming with a save on Trennan. At the 11-minute mark of the first period, the Nashville Predators are on the boards. Colton Sissons picks up his third goal of the season. A low slot redirect off Shea's long shot ties the game at 1 apiece. 12:21 now the first period. It's O'Reilly off the box. 2 minutes for tripping, creating our first special teams scenario of the game. One big save on Eriksson Ek, and the Preds PK would be able to hold. 15:14 now at the first period. It's Marchessault picking up its 14th goal of the season. Yakov Trennan with a brutal turnover right at the blue line, turning it over, leading to a 2-on-1 for the Predators deep within their own zone. Stamkos comes up with the feed, and Marchessault comes up with the finish for his team-leading 14th goal of the season, putting the Nashville Predators ahead 2-1 in this game. The 16:23 mark of the first period. Now it's Noonan coming up with a save on Goudreau. And in 1946, it's Blankenberg off the box. 2 minutes for puck over glass. Noonan came up with a save right here, and then on the clearing attempt, Blankenberg puts the puck into the crowd. Noonan would come up with a save on Rossi before the end of the period. We would hit the intermission with Minnesota out, shooting Nashville 16-15, but the Predators holding a 2-1 lead. Carryover of a power play of 1:46 for the Minnesota Wild into the second period finds a Noonan coming up with a save on Boldy, and then on Goudreau, and then on Johansson before the end of the penalty kill. The Predators able to hold. 3:19 now of the second period. A turning point moment in the game as LaRue picks up a penalty. 5 minutes match penalty for slew footing. It would be reviewed. It would be upheld. Trennan would also pick up 2 minutes for roughing in the scenario, creating a 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, and then a Minnesota major power play for 3 full minutes. Now, just to comment on the play, and we'll do more of that later on. For LaRue, it was, in fact, a slew foot. It seemed to meet the definition of the penalty, and he now has been met with an invitation from the league for supplemental disciplinary hearing. That is still to be determined as of the recording of this broadcast. So a 4-on-4 for 2 minutes, then a major power play for 3 minutes finds Zuccarello scoring his 8th goal of the season for Minnesota. It was a back post tap-in, tie the game up at 2 apiece. The 8:23 mark of the second period. So Noonan coming with a save on Rossi at 8:57 of the second period. It's Brodin with his 4th goal of the season. A long wrist shot through traffic puts the Minnesota Wild ahead 3-2. 11:16 now of the second period. So Noonan coming with a save on Hartman. The 12:01 mark of the second period. It's O'Reilly picking up his 9th goal of the season. Some net front jam ties this game back up. That 3 apiece at the 14:03 mark of the second period. It's Gustafsson coming with the save on Barron. And at 15:43 of the second period, it's Brady Shea off the box. 2 minutes for interference. There might have been a really good sell job to earn this power play for the Minnesota Wild. And then you find Chisholm with his 2nd goal of the season. It was a long, heavy shot that goes bar down that puts Minnesota ahead 4-3. We flip to the backside of the sheet. We continue on in the second period, 18:27 in the second. It's Zuccarello off the box. 2 minutes for interference on O'Reilly. Gustafson then comes with a save on Stamkos' one-timer before the end of the period. At the end of the second period, the shots on goal are pretty outrageous right here. The Minnesota Wild are at 32, and the Nashville Predators are at 27. The Predators do have a power play carryover of 28 seconds into the third period, but they are unable to convert during this opportunity. We find ourselves at the 2-minute mark now of the third period. Gustafson coming with a save on Evangelista, 3:31 of the third period. Gustafson comes up with a save on Yossi at the 6:39 mark of the third period. The captain, Roman Yossi's off to the box, 2 minutes for tripping. Rossi cashing in on the power play for the Minnesota Wild with his 14th goal of the season. Some rebound jam into the open net, and the Minnesota Wild are now up 5-3 here in the third period. The 8:03 mark of the third. Gustafson coming with the save on Shen, 10:42. Gustafson comes up with the save on Novak, 12:58. Gustafson continues his hard work here in the third period with another save on Philip Forsberg, 14:44. Noonan makes an appearance in the third period briefly here with a save on Trennan. We go back to the other end of the ice, and Gustafson continues doing the hard work at 17:06 of the third. He comes up with a save on Forsberg, and then a long sustained pressure that sees the Nashville Predators just piling up shots with the empty net scenario. We see our only other action at 18:41 when Forsberg and Merrill off the box, 2 minutes each. The Predators had a couple of glorious opportunities in close range and tight, could not get the puck to go, and that would be the end of this. That big scrum's the final action in this game as Minnesota Wild beat the Nashville Predators 5-3 in this game. The Preds do outshoot Minnesota 46-38. Again, pretty outrageous shots on goal for this game. But for the Nashville Predators now 0-3 on this road trip, and they drop this game 5-3 against the Wild. That's 3 straight division games on this road trip as well. They finish the game with 11 forwards because of LaRue getting the match penalty, and only with 5 defensemen because Luzon left injured. Still to be determined what his time frame for return is. So for the Nashville Predators, a really, really difficult start to this road trip. A team that only has 3 wins on the road this season is now 0-3 and in the middle of a 6-game road trip. We've got more to talk about as far as this game is concerned. We've got box score, we've got analysis, and so much more coming up right here on the Renegades of Puck podcast.